everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to ChasingCinema.com's official YouTube channel, or ChasingCinema.com, the film lovers website. Today, I'm going to be reviewing Bohemian Rhapsody. As you can tell, I'm not at AMC Town Square. Mr. Shu is not alongside me, but that's okay. Next week, everything will go back to normal. We're going to be celebrating The Grinch and all a bunch of other good stuff coming out that week. But let's get back to it. Freddie Mercury's biopic, a highly anticipated rock biopic about the band Queen and the life of Freddie Mercury. The big talk right now is Rami Malek taking on the role of Freddie Mercury, possibly getting nominated. A lot of award buzz around his name. And this was a movie, granted, I am not the hugest Queen fan, but I do appreciate the band who's, had so many great classic songs that all sound so different. They feel different. The one thing Queen had going for them is their uniqueness and their ability to adapt and to change. And the problem with Bohemian Rhapsody is that it feels like the most generic of biopics. Now, granted, before everyone jumps down my throat, don't get me wrong. There is a lot of good in Bohemian Rhapsody. I think it's a solid biopic. But in terms of filmmaking, in terms of style, this movie doesn't do anything more than hit the bullet points of a Wikipedia page. We highlight the big important moments of Queen in no exuberant fashion or style. And while Rami Malek's performance is quite good, as well as everyone else's performance in the movie, I don't think the movie does enough stylish, in terms of style or technique, that makes it feel that it should be a Queen biopic. And another thing that it does is it's so surfaced that we don't have a lot of moments deep in the emotions of the character. Freddie Mercury finds the band. Well, he changes his name to Freddie Mercury after that. They become Queen. They record Bohemian Rhapsody. All these moments are there, and we get these glimpses, of course, that you want to see. But the fact is, we never get to really soak in these moments. And of course, there are some, from at least my understanding, there are some historical inaccuracies. In the movie, Freddie Mercury meets the members of the Queen band after a show. And in reality, I guess they were roommates. And that's how they became to form the band. Here he just meets them after a gig. In the movie, it seems like Freddie Mercury finds out about his diagnosis of AIDS before Live Aid, the major concert that is going to play the end of this movie. But in reality, it wasn't until years after Live Aid that he was actually diagnosed. I'm sure there was some understanding that he might have a disease or he might be sick going in, but this movie obviously kind of pushes it in a way where he was going into Live Aid quite ill, he was diagnosed, and he was able to pull out this triumphant performance one last time, and let alone he goes on and still records, and continues for a while. Now, all that doesn't matter, right? That's just some things that I kind of noted throughout the movie. But for instance, the Live Aid, right? The movie closes with the famous Live Aid concert, the humongous 20-minute set in front of all these people broadcasted all over the world. But 20 minutes is quite an amount of time to watch a concert that we could technically see on YouTube that was from the band already. I have no problem with you recreating moments, but if you're going to recreate a whole 20-minute set, I think you're kind of pushing it at that point. I think we don't have enough time to marinate when Freddie Mercury is going through depression because of isolation and not feeling like he has anyone. When he breaks up from the band, we hit all the big points, but we're not there to kind of feel them. And I think that's the biggest issue with this movie. Again, I think it's fine. I think, you could walk in this movie, find it interesting, enjoy it, and walk out happy. But I think for diehard Queen fans, maybe, and maybe people like me who expect more of a film to represent a band or to represent the person in a way more executable fashion, I think that this movie felt very generic. It felt very average. It didn't stand out in terms of style and technique. And because we don't have these really great moments, or the smaller moments, it was so cool to see the band record Bohemian Rhapsody. It was so cool to hear them be shut down for the song and told it would never be a hit by Mike Myers nonetheless. Those moments were fine. The moment they reunite, all these things are good, but they don't ever feel, I would love to see the in-between moments, the moments that I couldn't read on a Wikipedia page, these moments that really could tell us about these characters. I don't think the movie goes above and beyond to tell us anything else about the people around him. I think they paint really broad pictures of all the other characters, including his father, his mother. Mary is probably the only other character that we get some kind of understanding of, but eventually later on towards the movie, as they become more distant, she just kind of gets painted over. Overall, I think it's a solid film. I think there's good here. I think Rami Malek is good. I don't know if he deserves an Oscar or anything like that, but I think it's a solid movie. And I think people who love Queen and don't really care so much about movies and just want to hear the great Queen music and kind of see another iteration of the band, sure, it's fine. But I think, the band that, in the movie at least, poured coins all over a drum set and constantly tried to push the boundaries and really be different and take generic and throw it away because they constantly wanted to be different and spark anew. This movie doesn't do that. This movie really falls in the category of the most generic biopic. And I know I'm starting to repeat myself, so that's when I know it's time to sign off. But again, I think this movie is worth seeing. I think it isn't going to be the great, phenomenal masterpiece that everyone wanted out of the Freddie Mercury biopic, but I think there's something there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Also, check out my review of Suspiria. It's going to be a little bit different. Again, not with Mr. James Shue, but make sure to go check that out, the remake. We're going to be reviewing that tonight as well. Next week, we have The Grinch and a few other pieces that I can't think of off the top of my head, but make sure to join us back at AMC Town Square at 10 o'clock next week because it is going to be a great time. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jacob Tiranno, and please continue chasing cinema.